And we need to get people in here, into these doors, for another, more very practical reason. For any of you who was at our church conference about a month ago, our new district superintendent was here. And he was a little upset with us. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details because the church council is working on a whole big project over this. But I really felt in the Lord as I was praying this week that I needed to put this out there, that you need to know. That what comes in the offering plate from this church is not enough to keep this church open. It's not enough. And the church is in a little bit of a danger right now. We have an endowment, so we've been using the endowment to supplement what comes out of the offering. So if our budget is $150,000 a year, and offering for the whole entire year from all of you comes in is about $40,000 or $50,000, where do we get the rest of it? We take it out of the endowment, $110,000 or so. Well, the district superintendent saw us make a motion to do that at the church conference a couple weeks ago, and he literally had a conviction. He says, you can't do that. That's irresponsible. That's illegal. I think he was searching for words. He was flabbergasted that we would even take money out of an endowment to keep this church operating. And that's why we will be taking the second offering to help with operating expenses, heat and light, etc. We found out that many of the other churches in the area do that once a month. They take a second offering for those purposes. But he also said, okay, so if we can't take the money out of the endowment to pay the bills, where are we going to get it if we only have 50 people sitting in this church on a Sunday morning? Where are we going to get it? We have to bring more people into the church. We have to share with them what we know to be true. We're not asking them to come in just to help pay the bills. We want to get them in here because we know that Jesus will make a difference in their life. But they will also help us pay the bills. And we have to think practically right now. Because the last thing he said was, if you can't afford a full-time pastor, you don't get one. So who knows what's going to happen come June and the appointments are made. I met with the council last week and I said, this is what it means for you not to have a full-time pastor. It means that you will have a pastor on Sunday morning, come and preach a message for you. That pastor will be here maybe one other day a week to do paperwork, have meetings, visit the sick, and that's it. The rest of the time, you're on your own. There's no pastoral presence in the church. There's no pastoral presence in the community. That's it. And once you lose your full-time pastor, chances are you would never get another full-time pastor. That would be it. And so that means a lot more of the responsibility, a lot more of the work would have to come from you. So you have to decide what it is that you want for this church. Now, we feel like we have a great group here, but our resources are only what they are. So we are asking all of you to search your conscience. See how, if you have been saying, and this is where our scripture for today comes in, if you said, I give enough, or I give enough time, or I do enough, well, consider what Jesus has done for you. He could have said, I've done enough before he got on the cross. And maybe it's time for all of us to go to the cross and to give more sacrificially. Our church is our life. For me, they'll appoint me to go somewhere else. I'll always have a job. You know, but I'd love to stay here till I retire and maybe beyond. But, so I'm not asking you for this for my sake. I love being your pastor. I'm asking this for your sake and for the sake of this church. Think about the sacrifice that you're being called on to make right now and what it means for this church if you do not make it in this moment in time. We have now till June. And maybe not quite till June because they make appointments, you know, all throughout the spring. And they're going to be looking at all this. And as I said, your church council is working on it, on you know, solutions. And so please pray for your church council to have wisdom. And we're going to be reporting on all that, probably at the first of the year. So I said that to say, okay, you've done a fabulous job with reaching out to the poor, with showing hospitality, because that's what it's all about. Opening your hand to those who need it. Now, those who need it, Okay, maybe the poor in spirit. That person who needs Jesus so bad, that person who needs that life change so bad, that person who's woven a web for their lives and they don't know how to get out of it. It may be the homeless guy across the street that doesn't have anything to eat. It may be any number of things, but you have to open your hand. God isn't going to use us if our hands are closed. So we have to open our hands and we have to say, whatever it takes, Lord. And I'm willing to say that. Are you willing to say that? Are you willing to say whatever it takes, Lord? Make me who you want me to be. Use me as your instrument in this day and time. And help me